seeing the fish, their position, and how they respond in real time. That's game changing.
What do you see?
Reminds me of muskies.
I love your mind.
They call it a bucket mouse because he's got a bucket mouse.
Wow.
I just want to tell you, I've been slaying the walleye lately.
That is so hot.
Ever bump the stump?
Suffix 832, the line that changes the game.
What are them sons of fishes up to now?
Fellas, I give you the force trolling motor. It is the most powerful, the most efficient on the water.
Yep. Most powerful. We're really in trouble now.
And it's quiet, too. You can't swim here.
What a dumb bass.
Alright, here we are for the last ABT Lockdown Live for 2020. I think I speak from everyone here, including my guest here at the moment, Tim Morgan, is that we have had enough of 2020. It can just, as we say in the industry, EAD, and we can get on to 2021 and get some things going again, not just with the tournaments, but in general life. And Timmy, been an interesting year. We're going to have you on for the first segment tonight to talk about some of the things we're doing next year, but your role now is effectively sort of running Rapala in Australia. Tell us about what this year looked like from a point of view of from the tackle industry. It was ups and downs. Give us a summary.
Well, it started off pretty good. Then it went to a total train smash. So I think March and April that's when we were all in lockdown and it was so unsure and we were all worried. We went back to, cut days off a week for working just because we were so unsure. But then from May onwards, it's been absolutely great for the fishing industry and the fact that no one's leaving the country. Everyone's holidaying in Australia. I think it's great. We've got a lot more fishing people into the sport. And hopefully when we do open up, we keep a good percentage of those and it grows the sport and the industry in Australia.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am chomping to get into the tournaments again, interstate. We've done a lot of Queensland tournaments at the end of 2020. We did the Gladstone Brim event. We got the Queensland Open away. We had the Barra Australian Open at Lake Awonga. We went to Lake Cania. You're at Cania there for the Rapala Bass Queensland Open. That was the one we threw together at the last minute with the Queenslanders, dominating the New South Welshmen in the terms of bag weights. They got a few more boats, but we like to think we won the fight there. And then we got the whole Barra Tour away. And the Barra Tour this year, of course, we've got some Barra Tour content later in the show. How good was the Barra Tour? I think I was doing some of my stats. We caught something like 30-something Barra during the Barra Tour and came nearly last. Last year we caught the same amount of Barra and came, we were coming top 10 in most events. So like all things in fishing, it's all up and down. But Timmy, you'd be chomping to actually get in fishing an event again. Like you've had enough of packing reels and packing rods. Let's go fishing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the bass season next year, and it's a bit of a different season. So some new venues, a couple of river events, and I don't think I've ever fished a river event for ABT. I've done a lot of river bass fishing, so I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into it with 13 as the naming sponsor. Yeah,
now let's run through that. Now, 13 Fishing, you may be familiar with the brand. I think everyone out there is familiar with the brand. Some of the guys on tour have been using the gear for a long time. The brand has sort of bounced around a bit in the past, but it has a home now with Rapala. And you're focusing on the reels. You've got rods coming out in due course, but at the moment it's all about the reels. Take us through 13 Fishing 101 when it comes to reels. Like what's good about them and what do all the different colours mean?
Well, the reels now I've been using for about a year and I love them. So a lot of the time when I was bass fishing, it was just I was only throwing bait casters really for spinnerbaiting the timber and throwing spin for everything else, but I'm really enjoying using them now. Probably for the bass, my favourite one here is the Concept C2. So super light, only 167 grams. It's a really good finesse bait cast. You can throw 10-pound braid on it, still fish heavy structure when you're fishing the Suffix 832, but throw really light lures a long way. So that's my favourite one for bass fishing. However, I love doing a lot of jack fishing and saltwater fishing, threadies, things like that, and that's where the TX2. So that's probably my favourite. That's our saltwater one. That's 25 pound of drag on it. Again, really light. It's only about 174 grams. So really nice and light. And the colours are just, I suppose they stand out. So probably the flagship reel for us in the 13 is the Z2. So this is the whole thing that 13 was built on. It you would have known in the previous models and ranges. It was a really bright orange reel. Z2, it's 0 bearings. So there's no bearings in there. So in the harsh saltwater environment, you're not going to have to worry about your bearings going, things like that. And they've also taken away, the alloy frame. So this is a cast iron carbon frame, so a new material, which helps us keep it really, really light, but you're not going to have any corrosion issues with the frame here. So the Z2 has probably been one of our most popular sellers since we've had them. We released them in September this year, and everything from bass to Barra. This is going to be great for me.
Yeah, and you've slipped me a couple of them. I've got one of these fellas and one of those, and they do cast a long way. And what I've always liked about the 13 fishing tag, like I've got one 3 or 4 years ago. I remember when Tommy Slater was working at Nomad, who distributed them. He threw me one of their cheapest ones. Was it the C? I think it was.
Yep.
And I was doing a lot of thready and dewy fishing in the river then. I took it out nearly every night for years, never washed it, and could not destroy it. And I thought, for a $200 and something reel, that was kick-ass. Cast a long way, could handle 50-pound braid, no worries, and, couldn't break it. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for these reels as well. And the 13 Fishing Bass Pro Series, geographically, is pretty cool. Now, before we talk about the geography of that, I want to let you guys know that we do have our competitions on tonight. I've got a couple of packs of gear here. They include some Costa sunglass cleaners, a Lowrance Buff, Venom Cap. It's got one of the Samaki Reddick lures. They were so good on Barra Tour. And they've got a selection of some of the Rapala baits. Timmy, we've got some of the ripstop jerk baits. We have some of the V-blades.
Yep.
They've been really popular over here, and a skitter prop, because of course it's summer and it's topwater time. What you need to do to win this is in the comments section below. Doesn't matter whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Nicole monitors both of those, and she's behind the scenes doing it. Just tell us where you're from. What part of Australia are you watching from? We don't have to ask whether you're in lockdown at the moment, because we only know that some of the Sydney siders are having a bit of a wobble at the moment. But let us know where you're from, and we will randomly pick a winner from one of those sides later tonight. Now, we have another prize pack exactly the same to give away. We're going to tell you the mechanic of that competition in a while. But let's get back to the 13 Fishing Bass Pro Series, Timmy. It's going to start off in a brand new lake and a brand new state for ABT Bass Pro events in Victoria. It's called Blue Rock Lake, and how much do you know about that joint?
Nothing, but I'm looking forward to getting there. So as long as the borders are all open and everything, we'll be down there, fingers crossed, and I think I'll be fishing in your boat.
That's it. So I think I'll be going down to do the Brim event at Gippsland. We said if you can get down there, Timmy, get in the Bass Cat and get in the Mercury and get out there and catch some Blue Rock bass. I'll give you a little bit of what we've found out, and most of this information is from various Victorian anglers, mainly Steve Duff from Duff Rods. He's been pecking at us for ages to go to Blue Rock, and I tell you what, we're going to finally go there this year. Bass up to nearly 50 centimetres, bit of timber in the lake, whatever technique you want to throw, you can probably catch some fish on it, and that's anywhere from top water to 30 feet of water. So it's a lake. I think there's a speed limit of, it might be nearly 15 or 20 knots on there. I don't think.
How big is it?
Bigger than Maroon, not as big as Glenbourne. So this is how much I know about it as well. All we know that it's a couple of hours east of Melbourne. It's in sort of the Gippsland area, and it's got plenty of bass in it. Victoria Fisheries have been stuffing bass into that place for a long while. Only recently just put a few more fingerlings in, so that's destined to be one of their premier bass fisheries, and it's going to be great to have some Victorian anglers down there to maybe, have a crack at bass. Who knows, they might even be bigger than the brim you catch. But we get some pretty big brim limits down there as well. Another question we've had recently, and let's deal with this one now, is everyone's saying, what are you going to do with the qualifications for the grand final? Of course, we had the grand finals. We've picked all of them up for Brim, Bass Electric. We picked them all up from 2020, and we've plogged them in the end of 2021. And what it means is the qualifiers that you have fished in 2020, they're going to count. So if you win an event, you go straight in. So the winners of the events last year, they're automatically in. Winners of the events this year, they're automatically in as well. But Angler of the Year qualifications, we're going to mix the 2 years together. So if you did 3 or 4 events last year, that might be enough to get you into the grand final. Likewise, if you haven't done any events, like the New South Wales Brimmers, for instance, didn't get any Brim events last year, but there's a few events in New South Wales this year. If they work hard in that side of things, they're going to make the grand final as well. And you've got, from ABT's point of view, we're going to make the grand final the size that gets everyone in, that puts in the effort. Now, typically in the last few years, we always fill the Bass Grand Final. We don't always fill up the Brim Grand Final because geographically it's so big. So we have 45 boats planned for it. If all of the hard-working qualifiers get fit into the 45 boats, cool. But if you've got guys that are, say, fished 3 events and are still not making it, we'll just add a few more boats in that grand final to get you in there. Bass, we may do the same. Typically, there's those sort of 30 to 40 really keen boats that do all of them. I think it's the same group of 30 or 40 that would qualify, whatever the years are, but we'll make sure that if you've put in a good effort, and a good effort isn't just your local lake 2 years in a row, that's sort of maybe getting outside your area, maybe fishing 3 events over that period, we're going to try and get you in the grand final. Yeah, we can't be any more specific than that at the moment, but that's where we are at the moment with that. Remember, let us know where you're watching from. We've got plenty of stuff on the show tonight. We've got Timmy was talking about the 13 fishing reels here. We've recorded an interview with Tom Slater earlier in the week because next year it's the Daiwa Brim series. Daiwa, plenty of new Brim product, and we'll hear about some of that in the next segment. We've got the winning Barra Tour Team of the Year, Liam and James from Team Anita Barra. We cornered them after the Barra Tour. We've got an interview playing tonight about their tackle and techniques and how they did it from the smallest boat in the field. And I think that's one of the coolest things that happened this year. Some guys in the littlest boat in the field winning AOY. And Timmy, it doesn't matter what boat you're in, does it? It just matters how good you can catch the fish.
Well, look, Tim at a 4.1 at Kenya won that. I was Tim at 4.1 at Kenya. I didn't win.
Yeah, you were the wrong Tim in a 4.1, weren't you? Timmy Steenhouse took home the $6,000 there. We've got we interviewed Brad Ritchie from Bluefin Boats and hooked up with Corey Goldie online during the week. They've just recently announced their apprentice for next year. They've got someone in a brand new Bluefin package going to get mentored by Corey. We're going to see them on the tournament trail all year. They announced that on their channel earlier today, but we're going to talk about the background of that with the guys later in the show. We've got a winner for the Mercury Show Us Your Boat. They picked a winner. They're going to win a new cow cover for their Mercury. We're going to announce that later in the show. And to finish off, we're going to bit of a sales spiel. We've got all of the shirts, and I wonder where they are. Did I throw them? Here they are. Just hold on a sec. I'm going to grab this. We've got the shirts from the Brooklau, the Flatty Bash. ABT helped these guys run that tournament. They've got a whole lot of leftover shirts, and these, I'm not saying they're the best looking or the most camouflage fishing shirts ever, but these were the shirts that they made for the event. It's got all the sponsors on there. Brooke Lowther was the great ambassador for that. We're selling these now that we know how to sell shirts, because we sold all their grand finals ones this year. These are on sale for $50. Profits go to breast cancer. So if you want to, I'm not saying it's a Christmas gift because Australia Post ain't going to get it to you in time. But if you want to buy a nice shirt to either promote awareness of breast cancer or for your significant other, if that's a male or female, or who am I to judge? We have that there. That's for you, I think, Timmy. And the pink tights. Yeah, don't worry about that. So that's up on the Tournament Boat website. We're going to run through the Brooke Lowther shirts and some of the stuff that you get on ABT's tournamentboats.com.au. Later in the show, let's go to an ad. And I think Tim may or may not be here when you get back. We'll find out.
Hi. I lost a big fish earlier today. Wasn't using suffix. It was about this big.
Look, slow down there, cowboy, okay? A fish in the lobster van, huh? You want your fish. Sorry, honey, that fish is gone.
Always use the best line, suffix 832.
Well, there you go. The magic of television, and Timmy is gone. He has been replaced with the pink tights, the tutu, and the Brooke Lowther shirt. Remember, you can buy those $50 on tournamentboats.com.au. But hey, I promised it. We're going to go and see Tommy Slater, who's going to tell us all about the 2021 Daiwa Brim Tour and the Daiwa Brim Australian Open. Here he is. So a little bit earlier in the show, we announced the 2021 Daiwa Brim Series and also the 2021 Daiwa Brim Australian Open down in Sydney. And we thought, who better to talk to about these events than Tom Slater from Daiwa. He's the product development guy. He's got a million things in the air at the moment with Daiwa. Tommy, g'day, and where the hell are you at the moment?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm actually up in Brisbane. I managed to sneak across the border. I think I started driving midnight Thursday from the northern beaches. So I'm in isolation up in my parents' house in Brisbane. New Year's Eve, I get out and I can be a free man again.
So does this actually involve any COVID testing? Do you have to go and get the spicer up the nostril?
I do actually. I had one yesterday, which came back negative, of course, and I have to have another one on day 13. So the 30th of December, I've got to have another test. So.
Just quietly, I don't know how many of us watching tonight have had the COVID test. How does it feel having the thing jammed up your brain?
It sucks. It really does. It's a very odd feeling. Not something that I would wish upon anyone.
Fair call. Doesn't feel like it's going to come out the other side of your head?
I think they got a bit of brain sample on mine.
Fair call, mate. Well done for doing the right thing too, and going into self-isolation. If we all do the right thing to help curb the spread, hey, maybe we can have a full suite of fishing tournaments this year. And let's talk a little bit about Daiwa's history with ABT. And some of you people watching may not know, but Daiwa was the inaugural sponsor of the Barra Tour. In 2005, it was the Daiwa Barra Tour. For a couple of years, Daiwa was the headline sponsor of that. We've had the Daiwa Brim Series in the past. In the teens, Daiwa sort of dropped away a bit, and there was a bit less of a focus, I suppose, on the tournament fishing. But now in the last few years, you can see Daiwa coming back both with product and both with an appetite to sponsor tournament fishing. Has this got anything to do with the young, keen crew that's in Daiwa now, Tommy? What's the theory behind Daiwa becoming involved with ABT again?
I guess it comes from probably a multitude of aspects, Steve, but I think definitely it comes down to who we've got working at the company now. Obviously myself and quite a few others are avid tournament anglers ourselves, but like you said, from a product point of view, we're actually putting a fair bit of focus on those kind of styles of fishing, whether it's from the brim side or bass or barramundi or whatever it might be. So from a product mix and from a personality mix, I think we've kind of found the right balance. And from an industry perspective, we feel it's quite important to continually push in the tournament space, because often that's where the new techniques and the new things become popular. And from a company's perspective, then that's obviously something that we can, if we're at the forefront of, we can act the quickest and we can develop all those new products to suit those new fisheries. So.
Now, we've always thought that ABT, we represent probably 1% of fishermen like tournament fishing, but it does trickle down all of the techniques. We've always sort of pushed that as a bit of a narrative about that's what tournaments do. From a Daiwa point of view, do you see that, taking your tournament angler hat off and putting your business hat on? How important is it that who shares wins flow of information, and how closely do people watch what people win tournaments on, and is that reflected in the marketplace afterwards? With an unbiased hat on, please.
I think it does. I think it's probably it was probably more effective in the early days when there was no social media and it was less spread across different platforms. I think it still has its place though, and you can see that from lures like bent minnows and those sort of things where they become popular in tournaments, because generally they're those kind of lures were more expensive, so mainly the tournament guys threw them. They then became popular, and now that flows through the whole market. So I do think it still has that trickle down effect, and obviously we've got a lot of stuff coming, some of which we've already released, like Bait Junkie and Infeet and all that sort of thing. But a lot that's still to come that serves that tournament market, but has wider appeal outside of, for the general fishing community as well.
Well, on behalf of all tournament anglers and ABT, I thank you for sponsoring ABT. Like, a lot of guys use Daiwa stuff. You go to events, you look on boaters' decks. What is it, 50% plus would be using Daiwa reels, I'd say, and Daiwa have been strong from that point all the way through. But Daiwa, I suppose, have been less represented in baits. Go back 5 years, line, leaders, trebles, lures, everything apart from the rods and reels. Take us through the product that's come out in the last sort of 18 months and moving forward, which is going to be interesting for the Brim guys, because for me, Daiwa is now nearly a one-stop shop for your Brim stuff. Now, take us through from lure to the rod butt about what you've got coming.
Yeah, it is actually all about trying to be that one-stop shop, and honestly, that probably comes more from us wanting to supply our anglers. We want to give the opportunity for Daiwa anglers not to have to feel like they want to use anything else. Guys like Chris Hickson and Mark Crompton and myself, personally, I don't want to have to throw another lure at a tournament. I don't want to feel like I'm missing out on a certain, best rod for a certain situation, because I want to develop that stuff myself. And Chris and Mark and Dale in the kayaks and Darren and those guys, we want them to make sure that they feel 100% confident in all of their product and they can get all of that stuff from us. So serving our anglers is probably one of the big areas, but also, I guess, as you've said, we've the stuff we've brought out over the last few years, we're starting to push more into those kind of areas with more lures and line and accessories and that sort of thing. So especially hard body lures, you'll see a big push for us into 2021, and there's quite a lot that I think are going to be right up the alley of a lot of ABT Brim guys next year. There's some really nice baits, which I know you've been playing with a few samples we've been sending you, and there's lots more to come, so it's a very exciting year for us.
Yeah, well, I look at the shops at the moment. I can get a cool new Daiwa in-feet rod in particular, which is very technique specific. The Daiwa reel, I can get J braid or even a fluorocarbon now. I can get the J thread leader. I can get the bait junkie or the hard body. Don't see no Daiwa jig heads. What's happening there?
Yeah, we're slowly. It's a long process to develop product, as you know, and we've got, obviously, Bait Junkie was a huge release for us, and we've got lots more in that pipeline coming as well. And hard bodies, and I'm sure things like jig heads and that will potentially follow in the future. So lots of stuff on the horizon for sure.
Now, you've just reminded me, you have got some pretty cool things planned for ABT anglers next year for the tournaments with Bait Junkie. Are we talking about that, or are we going to leave that until a little bit later on about some of the super cool things you guys are doing?
Yeah, no, we're definitely happy to talk about that. So yeah, we are planning some pretty cool things on the Bait Junkie front for ABT anglers next year. There'll be a couple of products that you can only get from turning up to a tournament or from shopping at one of the ABT supporting tackle shops. So just putting the finalising touches on all of that now, but I think it's something that we can do that I think just gives that extra level of just the nice touch to the tournaments, to be able to get something, get your hands on something first and that sort of thing. So,
well, we've seen it in tournaments over the years. New baits that are effective can often kick ass. Like if you're in a tournament, you want to be throwing the colour that they literally have never seen before. So, maybe that's a really exciting part of being involved with the ABT, and importantly, those ABT member retailers. You'll see them listed on the site. You'll see them in the tournament guide. There is a network of tackle stores who are very ABT angler friendly. They understand that we spend a lot of money with them, and that they want to offer you that great range of products. So it's great to see from the wholesale level supporting the retailers as well, who are really, I suppose, invaluable in this process. One thing I wanted to talk to you today about, Tommy, is we've followed the development of these in-feet rods, which are very Brim and Brim technique specific rods, over the last 6 months. They're in stores now. I want a little bit of an insight into Tommy's brain about what's that whole process of developing a technique specific rod. It's not like just going to the Daiwa International catalogue and picking a rod out and saying that'll do it. Even though we have done that a couple of times in the past, these ones are all from the drawing board up, aren't they? Tell us that process.
Yeah, you're right. So it probably all starts with conversations, with anglers such as yourself or Chris or Mark or Dale or someone, that I speak to often that is using one of our existing products or something else on the market that they say, you really need a rod like this, or or that rod would be great if it was a bit shorter, a bit longer, a bit stiffer, or so it probably all starts with conversation, and then from there it's really, I guess, for in-feet it was about putting all that into a something that made sense from a story point of view. So in-feet as a concept, we wanted to encapsulate everything, light tackle sport fishing. So whether that be brim, whiting, just light tackle estuary fishing. And then from there, we really decided that we wanted to have multiple price points, but it wasn't just a case of having 5 or 6 actions and then replicating those in 3 different price points. It was about thinking about the angler and the type of person that's probably going to buy those sort of rods, and then what they would be comfortable in spending. So from the more generic stuff you'll see in the cheaper ranges, but that really specific style of rod you'll tend to see in the more high price points, because that's probably the tournament guy that knows he wants an oyster rack rod for Foster, or a crab rod, or a stick minnow rod, or a rod for throwing fire baits in the basin, or something like that, where they're probably happy to spend that little bit more money. And then it comes down to a lot of trial and error with samples and sampling and prototypes and testing and working out, does that need a stiffer tip or a softer tip to work the lure properly? And it all really comes down to finding a lure which is, popular for that technique, and then making a rod that's perfect to fish that lure with.
So let me disband a few more rumours here. If I'm sitting here listening to this conversation, it's like, man, that Tommy Slater, he must spend 364 days a year in the boat fishing. How much do you actually get to go on the water and test samples, and how much of the work is in the office doing technical BS?
95% technical BS. So my testing is often not fishing, because it's as not boring, but as kind of detailed as just casting in a field, go to the oval and actually cast the exact lure that you want to cast, have all the samples lined up there with a measuring tape, cast, work out averages, put them in a spreadsheet, which rod casts further, which one feels better, test it on fluoro, test it on braid, test different guide setups, all that sort of thing. So it's a lot of that and not so much fishing. The fishing kind of comes towards the end, where we've done all the technical testing, I guess you'd say, and then the final stages is to actually put them out there and fish with them and catch some fish.
Well, it's cool to know that that's the amount of work that goes into them. Just quietly, how many people drive past you and yell out the window of the car, "There's not any fish in that park, you idiot"?
Quite a few, actually.
Lots?
Yeah, there's quite a few of that, and lots of casting and stuff at the boat ramps, and people saying, "Oh, what do you catch there?" Just saying, "Oh, no, just testing."
That's it. That's awesome, mate. Now, I know you're a tournament angler as well as working for one of our major sponsors. This year, geographically, Brim we tried to spread it out and to have that New South Wales focus, because, of course, in 2020 there were 0 Brim qualifiers in New South Wales. We tried to balance that out a little bit by having a pretty New South Wales heavy calendar this year. How excited are you about fishing some of the fisheries on this calendar, and then ultimately making your way to that Port Stephens Grand Final in late spring, early summer? I think it's going to be one of those tournaments where whatever your strength is, you're probably going to be able to fish it. It's just a matter of trying to get there with everyone else this year. I think it's going to be a big year, and maybe not as easy to qualify as you think.
Yeah, I think as we've spoken about quite in depth, I think the appetite for tournamenting for 2021 is going to be really huge. Obviously, we were starved of tournaments this year. There wasn't that many due to the virus and everything. So I think the appetite is definitely there for a big year next year. And I think the calendar that you've put together is going to challenge guys. There's a lot of various fisheries, a lot of different techniques should play through the year. Everything from down in Gippsland up to Gladstone. So I think there's going to be a lot of different winning lures. There's going to be a lot of different winning techniques. And as you say, that Port Stephens Grand Final, I think if if everything goes smoothly with case numbers and viruses and under control and everything, I think that's going to be a well fought grand final for sure.
That's awesome, mate. And look, I know this is right now. We're just in the final throes of organising something special for people who live between Sydney and the border, on the Victorian border. Keep an eye out on the ABT website because we do have one more sneaky little Brim event coming through there. We're just working on some final touches on it at the moment, but an important part of the market that we want to try and get to this year, that south of Sydney market.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's plenty of guys in that area that avid tournament fishermen. So I'm trying to give them an event reasonably close to something that we were pretty committed to. So yeah, definitely looking forward to having that finalised.
Yep, awesome, mate. Well, thanks for making the time. I know you've got 24 hours a day of sitting in a room there. You're going to be very familiar with it by the end. Well done on doing the right thing, and thank you very much to yourself and Daiwa for batting for ABT this year, mate. We're looking forward to the Daiwa Brim Tour 2021. Rightio, we are back, and that was a great bit of insight there from Tommy Slater about what goes into making this technique and fish-specific tackle. Bet you didn't think it involved casting repetitively down the oval to find out what are the best combinations for what you throw at the end of the day. So good on you, Tommy, for doing all that work and all those, I reckon they're pretty boring spreadsheets on how that all works. I love the marketing end of it. That's what we're all about. We do have another competition tonight. It's the same sort of prize pack. Got a Zerek cap here, left over from the Barra Tour, a nice Garmin stubby holder, some Costa wipes. I got the Samaki Reddick jerkbait. We caught plenty of fish on those on the Barra Tour. And I've got a Lowrance buff here. And that selection of Rapala baits there. And of course, the way we do it on ABT Lockdown Live is we want to know what your favourite Rapala bait is. Could be anything from the brand new V-Blade here back to your old Fat Wraps or Countdown Minnows or whatever Rapala has influenced your life. And I know if you're a fisherman and you've got through to a tournament fishing stage, there's got to be a Rapala or Storm Lure that's affected you over the years. Put it in the comments below. It doesn't matter whether it's Facebook or YouTube, where you're going to pick out a winner for that later in the show, and they're going to get that great prize pack. We mentioned in that last segment as well, there is going to be an extra Brim qualifier announced. I can tell you where it's going to be. It'll most likely be in St George's Basin, and it'll be in the middle or slightly after part of the year, so sort of a wintertime basin tournament. Maybe some of the Victorians that think they haven't got enough Brim tournaments, you should come up and fish it. But definitely that extra one, Daiwa wanted an extra one in that part of the world because it's an important Brim market to them, and it's an important market to us as well. A little bit of a dearth of big rivers and places to fish. You know, in the future we're going to be looking at arenas like, we might try and revisit the Clyde River. Let us know how the Shoalhaven's going. We know the basin's got plenty of fish in it. And of course, in due course, we're going to get back to Malakuta. So that part of the coast, beautiful part of Australia, and we are going to be back there both this year and in future years. I think what we're going to do now, we'll jump to an ad, and we're going to come back after that ad with the Zerek Barra Tour Team of the Year, Team Anita Barra. These guys are absolute legends. They can catch the titties out of the fish. Let's hear about their Team of the Year title after this break.
My name's Liam.
My name is James.
And we just won the 2020 Team of the Year title.
Yeah, so we started off at a Wonga and had a really good time there. We got 14 fish there and came first and picked up a bit of prize money and sort of spurred us on to do the whole tour. So we went up to Tinaroo and then it was Kinchant, wasn't it? And then Teamborough and then 2 events at Peter Faust. So yeah, had a really good tour.
Wonga was pretty incredible. Like, you know, going there, I thought we'd catch some fish, but I didn't know we'd go that well at all. And like there we found what we were good at, and we just just built on that, and that's where it kicked off. Our worst event was we didn't. I don't know. I think we achieved so well in everyone, but the one you guys got rid of might have been Faust, the all-nighter, where we got like 13 fish or something, but we come 16th or something, so we only got little fish. But you know, 13 fish on a night of barra fishing is incredible by any standards. So
yeah, and I'd have to say Teamborough was a good one as well, because it didn't turn out for us at our number 1 spot, and so we had to change things up a bit. And we ended up getting 4 fish on top water there. These new lures from Zerek, the skittish dogs, and yeah, it was an amazing night there.
well known now for our use of vibes, and in particular the fish trap. We've probably I think caught 50 or 60 fish during this tour on them, primarily in the blackjack, red devil, and the sunset, with probably the blackjack doing the well, and all in the 110 mil as well. When on the all-nighter, there was a lot of little fish streaming through, and I'd change up to a 95 mil just to get the bite, and yeah, we got a fair few on the 95 mil as well.
With a bit of a quick retrieve on that one.
Yeah, and like Jimmy was saying, in the timber round, I think we've got 4 on top water on these ones.
We've just got these lures as well at the start of the Kinchant round, and love them. They're really good. They've got a really good noise on them when you bring them across the surface.
Sounds like some bait at the back when it
just
ticks.
Flicking
and we missed so many bites on them, but we got the fish as well. And everyone's favourite, the Jimmy throws a bit, is the 140 Mollocks with the stinger at the front. So and that was pretty much the lot. Yeah, so got a 420 Renegade, which I've had for a long time, and yeah, but like it's the electronics that make it. So we run all Hummingbird stuff. So got 2 Helix 12s, a Gen 2 and a Gen 3, and the Mega 360, and it's just phenomenal stuff. I can't speak highly enough of the Hummingbird equipment. It's like, without it, we don't catch fish.
That Mega 360, it's been really good. We've caught a lot of fish, but we've seen them coming around the boat, and we've been targeting them, and yeah, caught some really good fish, especially at Tinaroo, when it was like half an hour to go, and we got a really good upgrade of a metre 13 when we saw some big ones moving through a lot deeper, and we cast the fish traps out there, and yeah, just managed to get a metre 13 out there.
So the well-known spots are always taken first, obviously, because we can't, even if we draw a good number to start first, we can't get there. So I always have to find, we always have to find somewhere a little unique that people don't tend to fish, and our spots have to be able to use vibes as well, because that's the fish traps, because that's what we that's how we get our fish. So it has to tick a couple of, and there has to be fish there, of course. So it has to tick a couple of boxes before I give the spot the tick of approval. Like I followed Krim and Craig for years since they've been doing the tour, and I was just talking to Jimmy the other day, like when we first started, like 5 years ago barra fishing, and I think it was Craig and Krim got like 15 at Kinchant one night, and we're like, how is that even possible? Like we can't even get like 1 on a night or 2 or something like that. But it's effort, and it's understanding, and hard work, and I really take my hat off to those guys. Like, and they're nice blokes too. And they've really supported us, and yeah, they've been really good. Yeah,
jump in and give it a go. We probably did a couple of events each year for what would it be 2 or 3 years now, and we got a 4th at Teamborough, so that really spurred us on to come back again and hit it up at a Wonga, and yeah, from there we probably had a lot of hard work and a bit of luck, and yeah, we we're now the team of the year. So.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank the Wilson who helped us during the tour. We use all of their products obviously, and they're so good, like straight out of the box, ready to roll. And we like we were saying in the interview in the hall, like we probably burnt through 50 odd fish traps this tour for sure. I'd like to thank my wife Casey, of course. She lets me spend a lot of time fishing, and she even starts coming with me lately, so that's been really good. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And the one last plug I wanted to give to Benny Durkin, who I spent a lot of time with early on in my fishing, and he showed me around the ropes, and that was really helpful, and I really appreciated that. So
yeah, same to me. Wilson as well. Thanks for the bit of gear you've given us, and my fiancée Lanreese, she's been great and supportive of us fishing. So yeah.
Well, we're off to Airlie for 3 nights, so we planned that beforehand. So we'll definitely celebrate there. The girls are coming up, so it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, well, we'll have a pretty good trophy room this year. The Awonga one, and now the team of the year one. So we're stoked. Yeah.
If you're Mark Healy, you don't just live on the water. You live for it. You get up, get your shades, grab a spear, grab a boat, grab a friend. Okay, take a breath. Hold it. Hold it. Here, hold this. Go. Whoa. All right, now find something to jump off. It's probably too high. It wasn't too high. Time to get going? Time to keep going. How's that feel? And now this is living. For those who need water to breathe, Costa Sunglasses.
Well, how was that? We actually saw on social media after I recorded that interview. We recorded that on the last day of the Barra tour when the presentations were, and we saw the tour trophy. It did a tour of Airlie Beach. I saw some social media pictures of the guys proudly holding that Team of the Year trophy. So great story. That I reckon that's one of the best stories of 2021. 2020. Those guys catching all of the Barra they needed to win Team of the Year in a little tiny boat on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th best spots in the lake. They never got onto the good spots. They just caught the fish, and great to see them also using the Zerek lures so effectively. So we couldn't have written a script that was that good. Remember, of course, we've got a couple of competitions going tonight. Tell us where you're from if you haven't done it yet, down in the comments below, or tell us what your favourite Rapala is. If you've got a Rapala that influenced your life, let us know. We've got a great selection of Rapala lures here that we're going to give. So 2 comps going tonight. You can win both of them just by entering down below. Also, remember tonight we're selling the Flatty Bash shirts. Flatty Bash was such a good event. It was such a fun event. And Wayne Smith, who's it was his brainchild, he says, Morgo, it's a bash. It's not a fishing comp. Fishing's a part of it, but it's all about having fun as well. And as a die-hard fisherman, like a lot of you guys might be, that fun side of it, you had to sort of get dragged, kicking and screaming to appreciate it. But once you do, it was hilarious. I think, Nicole, you're going to put some pics up now of people out there in the Flatty Bash. There they are, having fun in the little rubber ducky. They were the guys from, I think, Triple M down the Gold Coast. We had a great dress-up competition, and you guys might all know Australian and Queensland Brim Open champion Jamie McEwen. Check out Jamie here. Jamie won a lot of money for dressing up, and that's how he dressed himself up, and behind him is his boat. Now, we haven't seen this Jamie at ABT events yet, but who knows, maybe he's only a short way away. But the dangers of dressing like this are in the next shot when he's climbing back into his boat. Warning for kids, this may be disturbing. Show us the pic of Jamie. That's it. That is a view. I don't know if you want to see that at the start of an ABT event, but Jamie, you did it to raise awareness for cancer. That's a great shot. Get it off the screen, Nicole. We've all seen enough of that now. Buy yourself a Flatty Bash shirt. They're available on tournamentboats.com.au for $50. That includes postage, and we'll send it to you anywhere in Australia. Okay, we're over that now. Well, we did have Brad Ritchie from Bluefin Boats, and we talked to Corey Goldie, the captain, during the week. Let's go to a sponsor's ad and come back with those guys and their Bluefin apprentice program, which wound up only a day ago.
We know they're out there, and we know we need to find them. We target them for different reasons, but when the line tightens, we all feel the same. We feel alive. The water moves around us, and the world feels far away. We are here. We are fishing. It is a search, not just for fish, but for all things most important. For family and friends. For tradition and tranquility. For conservation and competition, all of us find what we are looking for. Yet we continue searching. We cast, and as the lure soars, our hopes soar with it. This will be the one. They tell us insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. But we are not insane. The fish are still out there, and we are fishermen. We have been since we were young, and will be until we can do no more. And then, when the ice begins to freeze within us, we will make
So with this special ABT Lockdown Live, it's the show where we've released our 2021 calendars. Everyone's all excited about that. But we thought it'd be a great opportunity to get one of our great ABT sponsors in, Brad from Bluefin, or Brad from the new and improved Bluefin boats. They're a very good tournament angler's boat now. And we've got Corey Goldie as well from down in Victoria. Mate, how you going down there?
G'day, Steve. Yeah, we're going well now. Now that lockdown's sort of half over and we can get out and do a bit of fishing, I think we're all getting a little bit more mentally sane than what we were, for sure.
And Brad, you're in the boating industry, which is absolutely going nuts at the moment. Tell us about how long your order list is at the moment. If I want to come and get a Bluefin, one of these great Bluefin tournament boats, how long have I got to wait?
Yeah, it's out to a few months now, mate. We're definitely into the second half of next year, but with some efficiencies in manufacturing, we'll drag that back a little bit.
There you go. So, look, everywhere in Australia is experiencing these supply chain problems at the moment. But we'll talk a little bit about later on. Firstly, Corey, from a Victorian bass angler's point of view, you know, you usually make the trek to fish bass tournaments all over the joint, even though you are just on the wrong side of the Victorian border. How did you like the look of the 2020 or the 2021 ABT Bass Calendar? It's got a new sponsor, 13 Fishing, and geographically we are all the way from Cania to Blue Rock. So what did you think about that?
I think geographically it's probably the best calendar you've ever bought out, to be brutally honest. From living at one end of the scale down here in Victoria, having a home comp is great, but then we can still... it's spread out enough that you can afford to take the time off and travel to those, you know, Queensland events. I just love Cania, so Cania's my favourite dam in Australia, so I was happy that was on the calendar. If Somerset fires when the comp's on, you've got, you know, big fish galore, so that's always good. Glenbourne, and I'm a big advocate of those river rounds, so having anything on a river, I'll be there.
Now, I'm going to ask the question that every single Queensland bass angler wants to know, and New South Wales bass angler. What's Blue Rock like? It's like we've heard about it before. I think Bass Nation went there a few years ago. The fish were all pretty small. We got the inside word from some of our guys down there that it's going pretty well. What do you hear about it?
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing. Those fish have really got to that sort of high 40 mark now. They've been stocking it for a few years now and putting good numbers into it. It is a very timbered dam, so we're not getting that spoon bite or anything out in the main bays, but once you get their brutes up in that timber, it is probably, you know, of a lesser version like Cania, in the sense that you've got to brood them out of those trees.
And that's good. You know, what we love about the calendar for this year is it's everything from a Somerset open water spoon bite. You go to Cania, it might be a great jig bite. We're going to go to Glenbourne. You know, that place, you know, it pattern fishes really well. The tides and the difficulty of the river rounds are really test guys out. And then, of course, everyone's sort of being on a level playing field with that Blue Rock round. Happy days. Now, if you're a multi-species fisherman as well, if you like doing brim and bass events, we've tied that up with the Gippsland Lakes Brim event, which is one of Australia's mainland's biggest, heaviest places to go as well. So if you want to travel, get into Victoria. We think it's a great way to start the year off, because they're some of the first events that happen in the year in late February. Now, let's talk about what we've done with the grand finals this year. Because of the COVID disruptions, you know, we only ran half of the Bass qualifiers. We didn't run any New South Wales Brim qualifiers. of course, we've decided to just pick up the grand finals and relocate them to the end of 2021. So for both the Brim and the Bass seasons and the Bass Electric seasons, we've just, I suppose, got an enhanced footprint of qualifiers now. There might end up being 8 or 9 qualifiers for the Bass. There might be 10 or 11 for the Brim, but we're going to make sure, and we haven't announced the ways that you qualify yet, but rest assured, anyone who makes the effort, we will make space for them in those grand finals. Of course, the grand final prizes for 2020 that are rolled over now are these great, the Bluefin boats. They're set up for bass fishing. They're going to be on a trailer with a Mercury motor, some green energy lithium batteries. We've got a Force electric for the on the front of the Bass one. The Bass one's at 498. Tell us about that model, Brad.
Oh, she's a cracker, that one. I think you're getting the 115 whacked on that, so max horsepower. It's the same setup as Corey's got. So she's got plenty of power and it's ready for tournament fishing. It's got everything you need.
I noticed that, I know I've owned fiberglass and alley boats. For one thing for me about the alley boats is they are cheap to tow compared to a twin axle fiberglass boat. Corey, tell us about your experience in that 498 as a tournament rig. Is it suitable for all of Australia's waterways?
Look, to be brutally honest, yes it is, Steve. It's I call it the pocket rocket because it's still competitive. I mean, I'm not going to get the top end speeds that some of you guys in the bigger boats are getting, but it can still be competitive. Pulling that 90k an hour mark out of the boat is really good. But what I've noticed is the save, having that 4-stroke Pro XS on the back versus the 250 Verado that I used to have. I mean, I've saved a dead set fortune in fuel there alone. And because I do so many Ks, I was always at the bottom end, travelling to Queensland all the time to fish the comps. I've saved half of my fuel bill on the road as well. So having that smaller single axle trailer, has been a really good save for me in that side of things. Plus for down here, I've got to cross over. I don't get all the bass events, so I've got to cross over to Murray Cod or Yellow Belly, and you're in that very stumpy environment where I was very scared to throw the big fiberglass boat around in there, but definitely with the little pocket rocket, I'm not as scared to go up into the stumps.
Well, I tell you what, I think everything in the world beats that old Verado 6-cylinder tower of power for fuel efficiency. I think you can put the foot down on them and you're spending over 100 litres an hour. But that 115 Pro XS, it's a 2.1 litre motor from Mercury, and they are super on the fuel, aren't they?
Yeah, no, I've just been blown away with the stats that I've been getting out of it. And unfortunately, due to COVID, I've had it for 12 months and only done me 20-hour service on it. So, I haven't been able to really unleash it on those bigger dams. I got to run up to Glenbourne a couple of weeks ago and we pumped through and I used like 30 litres of juice for 4 days. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, one of the other exciting things that you guys have rolled out this year as Bluefin is your apprentice program, and you're nearing the end of that process now. Brad, I want you to tell us about the quality of applicants you've had for that. Like, you're putting things out on social media, dead set, it can be a bit of a minefield out there. Everyone with a Facebook page thinks they're a fishing hero. How have you dealt with that through this process, and what's come out the other end?
Well, we've had to formalise the sponsorship program due to all the requests that we get throughout the year, and a lot of them are social media heroes that really don't understand the value in being a sponsored angler. So we formalised that in conjunction with Corey through the Pay It Forward program, and I've got to tell you, the applicants that we've received, they've all been put outside their comfort zone and had to bring some live presentations to the table, and you could just about pick any one of them and they would be a champion and take out the prize. So we've got some tough decisions coming up as to who's going to win it.
Now, take us through, the guys that are watching Lockdown Live now that mightn't be familiar with the program, run through the basics with us, and it's not just a one-off, it's going to happen year on year, isn't it? So tell us how it works.
Yeah, well, because of how successful it's been and the quality of the candidates that we've got, this is going to be an annual event. So anyone that's looking to get sponsorship from a boating company, we're going to direct them to that program every November. So really looking forward to getting this first one out the way and getting the mentoring from Corey and some other pro anglers that we've got on board to help guide these young blokes through the process of fishing comps and representing a brand.
Cool. And then what sort of support, if you're the one that gets picked, what sort of support do you get from Bluefin for that?
Well, we're giving out a boat motor trailer package with electronics and an electric motor, so it's ready to hit the tournament scene. And through Corey and the other guys, they're getting the full mentorship for the 2 years. So that's why we're calling it apprenticeship, because we're going to step these guys through the program so that they understand exactly what it takes to take out some titles.
Awesome. And now, Corey, are you mentally prepared? I've seen Star Wars episodes. I see what happens to the young Jedis when they grow up. Are you mentally prepared to have your arm chopped off by these guys?
Oh, look, I am. I'm getting a bit long in the tooth now, Steve. So, I've only got a few more competitive years in myself, but I wanted to give something back to the sport. And if I can help one of the next 10 years guys get up there and be the next Matty Langford, Carl Joxton type, I mean, that's going to live with me as a proud moment in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. You always have got a history of wanting to help the young fellas out, and give us a bit of a plug for your show that you do, because a part of that program is they'll have to make appearances on your live show, mate. You're just like us. You become an expert on live streaming as soon as lockdown happened and you couldn't get out of that room. It drove you mad, I bet. Tell us about your show, when it's on, and what the guys are going to be doing with you on that show.
Yeah, for sure. Look, my show started as a bit of a shits and giggles. I was bored, COVID, lockdown. One of my footy mates rang me up and we had an old grand final reunion on a Skype call, and it got me thinking I should start ringing all the fishing boys up and having a bit of a chat and recording it, and it sort of grew from there. So it's like sitting around the campfire. We called it Chewing the Fat with the Cat. Obviously, my nickname being the Cat. Chewing the Fat is just like you're sitting at the campfire at a fishing comp. You get a group of people around and you just tell a few yarns and a few stories, and that's sort of where it began. And then as it grew over the sort of 40 weeks of lockdown and 40 different shows, and Brad coming on board with this program, we've just grown it from strength to strength. It's Monday night at 8 p.m. on Corey's Dam Fishing Facebook page or my YouTube channel.
That's awesome, mate. No, it is. There is a whole lot of us that have learned some valuable skills during lockdown for that live streaming stuff. Brad, let's just jump back to the Bluefin Bite side. If you're an ABT competitor out there, there is some deals that you do for the ABT guys, and then where do they find a Bluefin dealer to go and check out one of these rigs?
Yeah, so for a long time we've had the ABT discount for the members, so you get a 10% discount on the boat, which is really attractive if you are looking to get into an alloy tournament boat. We've got a national and international dealer network. Jump on the Bluefin website and you can find your local dealer.
That's awesome. And then let's put it into perspective. Nowadays, if I wanted to go and buy a top-of-the-line fiberglass tournament boat, brand new, you probably don't get much change out of $100,000. What does it cost to get into the top-of-the-line Bluefin that you got? Like that, say that 498 that we're going to give away, a 498 with a Pro XS on the back, on a trailer, with some lithium batteries, a Force electric, and all the fruit. What am I going to get away with one of those? What ballpark? I know you don't know exactly, but
well, you're going to get changed out of 50.
There you go. So you can buy two of them for the price of one fiberglass boat. Yeah. So anyone that's thinking, I need to spend $100,000 to get into a boat to be competitive, you don't need to. I don't know if you guys followed, but we just had the Zerek Barra tour on. The guys that won the Team of the Year in that did it from a 4.3 metre boat with a tiller on the back, a Humminbird 360 hanging over the front, and a shitload of attitude. So, they did the work, they caught the fish, and they were literally in one of the smallest boats in the field. So don't think you need the big boat to do it. Get one of the Bluefin tournament boats. They've got all the hatches, the live wells. It's all
dry storage consoles.
Yeah, it is. It's like a big boat compressed into a little boat that's cheap to run, cheap to tow around.
Yeah. And
you get an ABT discount. Look, I think that's awesome. I think as a final statement from you, Corey, you've had a look through the 2020-2021 season now. Our 2021 season's designed to sort of finish off that 2020 season and to give away our boats, etc., for the finals. We've talked about the bass side, but overall, isn't it exciting to get back into tournament fishing again? Fingers crossed we don't have any more COVID outbreaks, but how exciting is it to be able to get out of the room again and do some tournaments?
Oh, for sure. I can't wait. I mean, it's been very hard being in that complete and utter lockdown that we have been in Victoria. I've got mates just on the other side of the border that were able to shoot up and fish the rounds and stuff like that. So it's hit me really hard. That magical Murray River mark there has shut me down, but I am so looking forward to it. I've missed it dearly and really can't wait until you get them all back up and running. February can't come quick enough.
And Brad, you're looking for maybe for the market to slow down a bit so you can get a bit of a holiday. You're busy at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, she's going to be a well-earned break this year, and hopefully things improve in supply chain-wise next year so we can deliver people's boats to them.
That's awesome. Guys, thanks very much for coming into the studio, for making the time to join us. Thanks for joining us on ABT Lockdown Live.
God, they're strong.
Get in the boat, outside! Straight to the boat!
Now, of course, the guys at Bluefin have picked their representative for 2021, and that is Bill Latimer. They announced it on their show only recently, and got a screenshot going up there, a picture of Bill, I think, or a link to where you can go and find out about it. This is where they were announcing it. You had Brad and Corey there. Look at that. Even had some fireworks there. And it seemed it was like a pretty emotional Bill, who I think watches this show. Bill, if you're watching there, give us a shout out in the comments down below. Great to see that program getting such traction and having such good quality applicants for it. So it augurs well for a great future for tournaments in Australia. Secondly, big shout out to the Bass Electric guys. We haven't mentioned it tonight yet, but it's the BKK Bass Electric Series next year. Westy, Adrian Wilson both stuck their hands up. Joey, of course, Joey Urquhart's taking a back seat this year. His family's growing, and he's handed the baton across to these two experienced Bass Electric anglers that have put together a kick-ass Bass Electric series. The fact is that the small amount of labour we have here, we can't actually run the Bass Electric series ourselves. It has to be the anglers that have to go out and do it. And these guys have put their hands up. They put together a great series, and then we've got a great little P-Series Bluefin punt on a trailer at the end for the grand final prize at Lenthals near the end of 2021. All of that information's up on the ABT website, as is all of ABT's Brim, Bass and Barra calendars. Now, thirdly, something that came up in this show, and it was a couple of comments that we've had in this show. We all know that the Barra guys like to party. We're going to go to a few pictures here that were taken from the Barra tour. We had a party night. We just said wear a Hawaiian shirt. Nicole, put up some of the images that we got from this year at the Barra tour. There's some guys getting one of their prize packs. That's Tom and Mick Schleppy. There is a lot of love going on in the Barra tour, and I don't see any Hawaiian shirts at all there. Let's flick to the next one. This is our knot tying competition. We don't know where that monkey came from. We don't know where the monkey is now, but the monkey and Tom had a good time that night. Just as a side note, check out my six-pack. Been working on that during the off-season. Rob Payne was the winner of that knot tying competition. And here we go, the third one. I don't even think that's a uniform at all, Diley, but he's got a couple of badges covering up the important bits. What I'm trying to prove here, Barra guys obviously, they know how to party. We've seen the Jamie McEwen pics before. He definitely knows how to party, Venga Boys style on the Gold Coast. I hear a lot of talk from the Bass guys. Bass guys talk about how much they like to party. I haven't seen any pics. If you've got a pic on your mobile phone, put it in the comments down below if you're on Facebook. We want to see it. I want some evidence that the Bass guys know how to party as well. They talk the party talk, but as far as I see, walk the party walk. So guys, I've got a prize for it. It's just to embarrass your mates. Put the pics down below or email them to us here at ABT. We can whack them on one of the next shows because you guys have got a reputation to uphold. Just put it out there right now. Fourthly, we've got some comp winners for tonight. So we've got Blake O'Grady. He won the Where You From. He was watching from Nunda in Brisbane in Queensland. Blake, we know Blake. He's a Brim tournament angler. He's won one of these packs here. We're going to get that in the mail out to you. Really hope you've updated your address on the ABT database, Blake. Very important to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to send it to your old address. So give us a message and make sure we got the right address there. Shoot us a message on Facebook and we'll get that sorted for you. The other pack we've got going to Jared Delzell, who likes fishing the ripstops, was it, Nicole? The ripstops were his favourite bass lure or favourite Rapala. Guess what? There are some ripstops in here. I saw a couple in there before. So you're going to get some more of your favourite Rapala. You might be able to use it down there at Blue Rock. I think Jared's from Morwell or something down there in Victoria. So congratulations. You've won the second prize tonight. We've got another prize. We're going to wrap up 2020 with the winner of the Show Us Your Boat segment. We've had plenty of awesome boats that you guys have showed us powered by Mercury through the year. And the winner for that one, Anthony Calso. He had his Triton powered by a 2-stroke 115 Mercury. Anthony, we're going to organise you a brand new Mercury cowling cover to fit that motor. They say they make all the cowling covers for all the way back, so this will be a good test for them. Not the newest motor in the world, but you did a great segment and put a great effort into that Show Us Your Boat segment. You've got a new Merc cowling cover coming your way. And of course, the last thing I want to do tonight is I want to talk a little bit about our Tournament Boats website. You know, originally and for the last 10 years, Tournament Boats has been a place where guys have gone to sell their tournament boats. You know, you paid $20 or $50, whatever the price was. We put it up there and that's where you go to look at the boats. Well, to be honest, Facebook sort of killed tournamentboats.com.au, at least from a listing point of view. So we've changed the site around a bit. We've made it actually free to list your boats on there. So if you've got a tournament boat you need to move on and you want to talk to the right people, you can put it on for free on tournamentboats.com.au. But to replace the income that ABT lost from that, we're actually selling a few products now on it. And just a quick shout out for that. We don't sell everything on it. We don't sell much any tackle on it. Just bits for your boat that you can't get elsewhere, or they end up too dear if they go through the traditional retail channels in Australia. So you'll find on there Australian and saltwater hydrowaves. We do those, and a lot of guys, especially on the Barra tour, put those on. They use those a lot. We've got the Kong mounts. We have a lot of guys using the live system, and remember, 2021 is going to be the year of the live unit. If you don't have a 12-inch sounder up the front watching fish swim around that you can't catch, then you're not going to be part of the in crew. You're going to need a good mount for those. We could never find a good mount, and Ram mounts didn't do it for us. So I've got the Kong mounts there, both the KVD models and the minis. They're bloody dear, but they're the only ones you can run through 25 knots in Moreton Bay and your sounder's still upright at the end. I know that from experience. So we've got the Kong mounts there on the Tournament Boat site. Of course, you can buy the old shirts. We still have some sizes left of the 2020 and 2019 Grand Final shirts. $30 posted to your door. And of course, the product that started it for us was the YOLOTech mounts. We use these in ABT to collect all those awesome Garmin camera footage. These fit in your navigation light socket, takes power, puts it up to your USB slot for your camera here. So your GoPro, Garmin, whatever your action cam is, if it's got a USB power cable, it can run on one of these. And you may not know that they do them in little itty bitty kayak sizes as well. So any kayak anglers out there want to try them out, powered USB mount for your GoPro, etc. These are actually a lot more affordable. These are only just over $100, these small versions of them. So check out that tournamentboats.com.au site. You can buy the Brooklau, the Flatty Bash shirts there and make a donation towards breast cancer. Or you can check out some new stuff for your boat. As I'm saying now, and I've got no faith in Australia Post, you ain't going to get any of that stuff by Christmas, but we're going to be in here packing it until Christmas Eve. And after that, we'll open the office in January. The shop will open and the shipping will open again as soon as we launch those entry forms for the events. If you're looking for entry forms for the events, they're not out yet. We just locked that calendar down. We're going to sneak that extra Brim event in, and those entry forms will be out as soon as we open the office, I think, in the first full week of January. At that point, you can enter tournaments. You can use any of the entry credits that you had for last year. Anyone that's got entry credits in there, fill out your entry form, write down where the entry credit's from, and we will honour all of those entry credits if we haven't already refunded them to you. I think that's nearly it tonight. Nicole, come on in here. You do all the work behind the scenes. No one gets to see you. Take a seat here with your pink tutu and your pink tights. They're obviously yours. They're not Jamie's. He wouldn't have Guys, in the comments below, give Nicole a shout out. She is the girl that puts it together. She's the one that does all the back end for the events. I take all the glory on the front end. She does it behind the scenes. So there's actually no one pushing any buttons at the moment. Nicole, what do you got to say to the punters out there for 2020? It's been a prick of a year.
It has, but it's been a good year. I'm looking forward to bring on 2021, I say.
Nicole, of course, is also in charge of selling all the sponsorships. So any budding sponsors out there, talk to her. She's the one, and she can get that locked in. We're putting together the ABT tournament guide for 2021. That's happening now. Briefs are going out. The sponsorship's being sold now. We're auditing all the old gear that we got here, all the leftover prizes. We're going to add to that next year and give it out. We have got so much going on. It's crazy, and it's amazing that I do it sort of part-time, you do it part-time. We do have another part-timer starting next year. You want to let that cat out of the bag, Nicole? Is that you, or don't you want to let it out yet?
Make them wait.
Make them wait. We're going to have something to put in the first show next year. It's someone a lot of you guys may know. Has been a tournament fisherman in the past.
He's very excited.
Already given out. Yeah, he's very excited. You'll like it. Great guy, and he'll be helping us with all the logistics during 2021. So, Nicole, go back and push some buttons. Say goodbye to all the punters out there. She's the one you have to impress to get all the prizes in this deal. I think we're going to leave. I think we've got no ads left. We're going to get new ads next year. We're going to get new logos next year. It's going to be called ABT Live next year because there ain't going to be no more lockdowns. We're over lockdowns. So Lockdown Live, it's out. ABT Live's in. 16 episodes this year. Thanks for joining us. We will see you guys in 2021. G'day guys, Steve Morgan here at the Tackle Junkie headquarters here at Loganholme with Troy Dixon from Wilson Tackle, and more particularly this morning, Troy Dixon from Zerek Lures. Troy's been a stalwart of the Zerek Barra tour for the last few years, and Troy, I've seen guys from using nearly zero Zerek lures up until the fact now that virtually everyone's got them in their box or on the end of their line. And what it's come down to is the fact that Zerek now makes a range of lures that you can go solely Zerek when you go barra fishing. And I know you do it each year at the Barra Tour and you do really well. Yep. What we want to do today is go through Troy's favourite 4 Zerek barra lures and how to fish them. And we've got some pretty special underwater footage that someone had to get under the water and film. So Dicko, Zerek lures come a long way, haven't they?
They certainly have. Like I said, it started off with the Zerek live shrimp. Yep. when we first started, and that was a huge success. So from there we've just gone step after step after step, and we really concentrated on that barra market at the start. Yep. Now we're branched out into all sorts of lures, but what we're talking about today is all Barra. Barra.
And we've just come off that great Barra tour, and I suppose the big news is next year we've got not only the Zerek Barra tour, but we've got the Venom Barra Australian Open, which is going to be at Lake Awonga in September. It's going to be absolutely kick-ass. Venom rods, of course, the brand you've got are the high-end Australian-built premium rods that you guys catch a lot of fish on. So
made in Brisbane, those ones. So
so it's looking great for next year. So if you're going to tackle up for any of these events, or even just for some social barra fishing, I want you to run us through the top 4 Zerek barra lures. Go.
Well, so my number one choice, because I like vibing a lot, so it's the Zerek fish trap. So this is the 95mm one.
Yep. And you were saying this is your highest selling lure ever, isn't it?
Yeah. In that particular colour, it's selling unbelievable. That's Fat Betty. Yep. And it catches fish and it catches people. So it's probably my go-to Barra Monday lure.
So if you're going to have just one lure for Barra, this one's going to be at a Fat Betty. What's that size?
That's the 95mm one. So that one's at 23 grams. There's 4 different sizes to choose from and a couple of different weights and things like that. So there's a 65, a 95, a 110, and then now we've got the 160 in 2 different weights. So that's been working really well on the Barra as well. So that one being at 160, we've got a bit bigger profile in the water. Yep. And being TPE plastic, it actually has a lot of flotation in it. So it's actually got a bit slower fall in it. So it actually sits in their face a lot more.
Well, when we were in the pool this morning, you can see it, and you'll see it on the cutaway here. You'll see this lure just vibrating slowly as it goes down, and it's got a really slow sink rate. You were saying it's a lot for vertical presentations.
Yeah, that's where it's been really a key. Like when you're in that timber, you know, and you got Barra sitting in the timber where you can actually just vertically jig it straight underneath the boat, and it sort of comes up past them, and just when it flutters back down, it's sitting in their face a lot longer. Where with the other vibes, they're a lot heavier because, you know, and they just plummet past them, where that bigger one seems to hang in their face a lot further.
Now let's take it right back to basics.
Yep.
If I tie the fat Betty on and I'm going to fish it, how do I fish it for a Barra?
So the first of all, if you're fishing a weed edge or a weedy point or something like that, I would throw it up onto the weed. If there's like 2 or 3 foot of water on top of the weed, burn it off, and then as it comes out off the weed, let it sink.
Yep. And you want to hit the bottom outside the weed?
Once you've come out off the weed, and then just gentle hops up off the weed. But 90% of the time at the Barra Tour this year, when we were fishing the weed, you would throw it on top, you'd burn it across the top, you're getting their attention. If they were sitting in that weed, you'd get their attention. As soon as you pause it, as it come off the edge of the weed, they just eat it.
Then you'd see that tick in the line?
Straight away, yeah. And in saying that too, when you actually got, if you didn't get one on that first initial, if you did a few hops out off that, so because you've got their attention, they were coming in and plucking it straight up.
Now, when I was underwater, one thing I noticed was that size really gets action quickly off the bottom. So it doesn't go for a foot and then starts wobbling. It like wobbles from a centimetre off the bottom.
Its pulse, like it pulses off just off the slightest rod tip movement.
Yep.
So you can just lift your rod tip up a little tiny bit and it pulses away straight away. So
there you go. An assortment of the fish traps are going to be good for Barra, but also, you know, guys are like threadies, big flathead, dewies, all those sort of things.
Multiple species of fish.
I know you see this underwater footage and you just go, I need that because that'll help me target those fish which are sitting on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the next one. And you said this was one of the best-selling Zerek lures as well, especially up in the territory.
Yeah.
What is it?
This is the Zerek Flat Shad.
Yep.
So this is actually in the 7-inch version, which is really popular on the Barra Tour. That profile bait just seems to attract those Barra. You know, so, but again, it comes in multiple sizes. It comes in a 3.5, a 4.5, a 5, a 7, and a big 9-inch one as well. So, and you can rig them on a jig head as well, or they come out of the packet rigged with a worm hook.
Now, you were saying the territory guys, they just tie that straight on and go fishing with it?
Well, they love it because they can throw it into a place where they can't throw a normal hard body.
And it won't get snagged.
It won't get snagged up.
It swims right through, and then it's got these little gussets in the side where if a fish eats it,
just folds away.
It folds over, that big hook can drill into it, and that casting weight lets you skip it anywhere you like.
That's it.
And so the Barra Tour guys, though, they're like a little bit level up. They don't want to just throw it straight out of the box. They'll actually put the trebles on the little treble assist here. What sort of modifications do they do to this?
So some of the guys are putting like little flashy spoons off the bottom, so they, so it gives it a bit more flash. A lot of the guys were adding a stinger onto the front. So they're actually putting a treble on the front and having the 2 hooks sticking out and just tying a loop knot through the top there. And some of the other guys, and you'll see quite a few of the cod guys now are using assist hooks. So they're actually swinging assist hooks off it.
That's right, because the Barra, when they woof it, like they often, it'll go down head first, won't it? So they want the artillery sitting up this end of the lure.
But the good thing about this is straight out of the packet, you can throw it in there and catch that Barra.
That's right. So and the retrieve, and again you'll see in the cutaways here, a slow winding retrieve. This thing looks great under the water.
And when being TPE plastic again, when it sits on the bottom, it sits flotation up, so it's always swimming. So if you're in the current, this thing's always moving.
Yep, and again you can see it. You see the footage of it. It hangs up there, doesn't it? It is a very attractive lure underwater, that fella.
But they are working a treat, especially in impoundments. Like a couple of the guys actually on the tour this year, which were quite consistent. They used these wholly and solely, and they caught majority of their fish. Yeah, they did. So that was Team Venom, actually, the boys from up there at About Town Bait and Tackle. So
Now, this is one of your new releases for this year. And the only thing that looks better than this out of the packet is this in the water. And again, you'll see some footage here. Tell us about the construction of this lure and what it's designed to do. And there's a couple of sizes in the swim bait as well.
So this is our Zerek live swim bait. So this is a segmented body, but it's got a Kevlar weave through it. So it's all held together by a Kevlar weave. So in the water, it is just so lifelike. This is one of my favourites because I've caught my biggest impoundment Barra on one of these. I got a 121 on one of these. But these things are absolutely gold. They're built tough, straight out of the packet to catch barramundi. You can see you got a real beefy hook on it. What we did with this one, instead of making it heavy so it sinks to the bottom, we lighten this one right up. So it's only got a little tiny bit of chin weight in here. but we added an extra hook hanger, so you can actually add weight to it.
So you use one of those fast hatch sinkers, just
straight on there, and you can add. I've had up to 2 ounces on the front of this in the big tidal rivers up in the Northern Territory, where you need to get it down there, and the thing still swims because it's this tail that does all the action.
That's right. Yeah, the head remains quite still in the water, and that tail does do all the action.
Yeah.
Now, tell us the difference between the. This is probably the more user-friendly size for all over Australia.
Yep.
The differences between the two.
So the difference between this one is a lot heavier. So it's designed for the average Joe Blow that just wants to throw it out, wind it in, let it sink to the bottom, pop it. So it's got a lot more weight in it for its size.
Yeah, it is weight in the head, and there's no options to add extra weight on this one.
But that there, over the weed, at Kinchin and places like, I got a couple of fellas, like Peter Price in particular, he's got one of these that he's caught 70 odd fish on it so far. It's probably too good, to be honest.
Yeah, you need it to break before that, don't you?
But his technique with that is throw it up onto the weed and burn it across the top and let it free fall off the weed, and as soon as you stop, they inhale it. So
every time. So how many sizes in these?
So we have a 3.5, a 4.5, a 5.5, and then the big 8-inch one. So the thing about this is you'll see it in the video footage of the sink rate. When with no weight on it, you just swim along, and when it stops, it's like eat me.
Yeah,
it is.
It looks better than a dying bony brim.
Yeah, it just eat me.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
And my success on this was throwing it out, especially in around that 10 foot of water, and just a slow wind, and as soon as you stopped, those barra would just go and
suck it in. Yeah, you can imagine them following it along and just waiting for something to change.
Very, very cool. Like,
Now the cod guys are going to like that as much as the barra guys, aren't they?
The cod guys are catching quite a few really good cod on them at the moment. So
now that was pretty impressive under the water, but so was this thing. This is a new bait that Zerek got. What's it called?
This is the Infinity.
Yes.
So it's a 220 mil glide bait.
Yep.
As to say, so when you give it a rip of the rod tip, it glides one way, glides the other way.
And when I was under the water, this was the noisiest as well. Those segments, when they swim, they knock together. Now, there's a couple of situations that apart from barra that you've used this in, but for me, this looks like the lightweight on the front, and you get 2 weights on the front, don't you?
Yep.
That lightweight on the front, just a slow roll across some shallow, weedy water. This has got barra all over it.
Oh, definitely, yep. And then, like you said, you that's with that weight on it. You put the heavier weight on it, and you can actually get it to glide like down along the bottom. You know, if you get your rhythm right, you can get it to down in that. With that one, it sort of has a slow fall. It wasn't a real plummet to the bottom.
Yep. And even with the heavyweight, it wasn't plummeting. It was just getting deeper than the original
like a fish dying.
One of the things I fished a lot of segmented swim baits in the Barra tour, and I'm just addicted to that bite. Like, explain the bite that this thing gets when they swim it along.
So they don't peck at it. They don't. They just inhale it.
That's right.
There's nothing really to describe it. Really, it's just that you. Most of the time, it's on the paws too. So you've done the sweep of the rod, or you've done it with the rod, and then it's just crack.
That's right. It's like the biggest brim clunk in your life, isn't it?
Mate,
and normally you're down to your elbow getting it out of their guts after they finish. They do swallow them down deep. And because it's a weighty lure, you can put it on one of those big venom swim bait rods, and you can hurl them a mile, can't you?
You can, yeah. That's it.
Now, tell us a little bit. Well, I know we're talking about Barra now, but tell us about your secret weapon for flathead as well.
Oh, well, this is. I've been throwing this around for the big flathead on the Gold Coast. So you take the weight off, and all you see when you're coming across the shallow, especially in like a foot of water, that fin and that fin
the
are just the fins out of the water. It looks like a little shark cruising along, and the flathead have absolutely been smacking it.
That's right. No, it looks great under the water, and again, you'll have seen it in the cutaway footage here. It's I call it the great white shark because because it swims along and it looks like it's hunting something, but that's what gets eaten.
Yeah, it does. And people laugh at me when I say flathead, but a flathead knocks off a mullet that big.
Yeah, every day of the week.
Every day of the week, a whiting that big, no worries at all. So, but but they're quite easy to take that chin weight off. Just got a couple of little grub screws in there, just undoes, and you can change the weights over.
Yep.
So,
mate, that's
very cool, very cool.
So
bait.
I think now the Zerek brand has now got Barra in particular, but predatory species in general covered, literally from the top to the bottom, and we're really looking forward to the Barra tours next year, but just what fish come in on these baits in the next 12 months, because it's an exciting time for your company, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, mate. Yeah, no, it's always good seeing photos coming in of fish being caught on the lure, especially when you had something to do with it.
Yep.
So
we'll make sure that if you're really keen on these baits and the Barra Tour, there's a few places you need to go. abt.org.au for the Barra Tour. Make sure you like Zerek Australia on Facebook for updates about all of these latest baits. And of course, the Wilson Fishing website. The address is down here. Make sure you go there to check out all of the colours and sizes available, because these are some great looking baits.